Yo, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So, three teams riding playoff buzz got punched in the mouth yesterday, um, on which was pretty much an upset weekend. Virginia's offense disappeared at home, plus their quarterback got hurt. Memphis let Tulane blow up their script. BYU ran into a Lubbock buzzsaw, and it doesn't seem like the lights was just too bright once these teams heard their name called in the first projected playoff bracket. And so it was just wild yesterday. I said when I saw the playoff bracket when it came out a few days ago, I said Memphis is not going to survive Tulane. Tulane is a very good team, a very scrappy team, and um, I knew somebody out of I knew BYU probably was going to drop a game too, because of this, you know, the fact that they had to play Texas Tech, and so you you just saw this pandemonium and chaos yesterday if you are a fan of one of those teams who was projected to be in that first playoff bubble, you know, lose. Wake Forest just, went into Virginia Stadium and beat them, right? Wake Forest was unranked. Virginia's quarterback got hurt. The only touchdown of the game was a 88 punt return by Carlos Hernandez. And it was just wow. Again, quarterback Chandler Morris left the game, hurt. And the Cavaliers was just never able to reach the end zone. Um, and Wake Forest just suffocated Virginia with defense and special teams. And I hope Virginia's quarterback isn't seriously hurt. I haven't really, checked to follow up any information to see what's going on, but you just have to feel bad for, Virginia fans because they was having a magical season, man. I watched that game versus Florida State, and when they heard their name called for that playoff bracket, it just like the wheels fell off. The wheels fell off, and then Memphis. Memphis got ambushed at home by Tulane. I knew that was going to happen. Memphis still had on his schedule Tulane and Navy. Navy got blew out yesterday by Notre Dame, but we expected that to happen. But Navy is just a very formidable team. And so I was just like, there's no way Memphis is going to survive Tulane and Navy. And I was not shocked when I saw Tulane pull out the victory, 38 to 32 on Friday versus Memphis. Tulane, detonated in the first half, had 35 punts behind quarterback Jakes. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. He threw for 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no turnovers. Memphis did rally late to cut into the score to make it a one score game, but obviously the effort stalled out. The loss snaps Memphis's long home streak, and pretty much put a dent in their group of 5 playoff pat. And now Tulane is going to be vaulted back into those conversations about possibly being put into the playoffs when it comes to group of 5, making that last spot at number 12. BYU unbeaten run ends in Texas Tech. They ran into a buzzsaw. Number 8 Texas Tech was able to beat number 7 BYU 29-8. Texas Tech was able to flip the switch. The defense absolutely suffocated BYU, stacking up a ton of stops, turnovers, and just they just had BYU's number all day. And now BYU sits at 8-1, 5-1 in the Big 12. They're still alive, but their cushion is gone. So obviously there's still some more weeks left to the season, but BYU is going to have to pretty much play really convincing moving forward, and they got to hope that a couple of teams that's ahead of them take a tumble, or they're going to be watching the playoffs from the sidelines. And so it's it's just crazy because it's almost like if you some of those teams, the fans of some of those teams, you're just like, man, I wish they would have never even said who was projected to go to the playoffs because it almost seems like it's like it's like bad luck, right? When I said that, I was just like, man, some of these teams are not going to survive this first playoff projection, this first playoff window. Um, and I was absolutely right. Um, and we saw that. I want to share my screen with y'all, and this is after week 11. So this article was written by um, let me see who was it written by over at ESPN. Brian Fisher, 7 hours ago, right? So it's just playoffs picture. Now they're not going to come out and say anything until later on next week, but this is just projected. So obviously Ohio State has I mean, Ohio State hasn't played anyone. Um, Alabama took care of LSU yesterday. Texas A&M took care of who they had to play yesterday. I think they played Missouri yesterday, and they remain undefeated. Indiana is still undefeated. Is Indiana undefeated? Yeah, I think Indiana's still undefeated. Georgia at number 5, Mississippi, Texas Tech, Oregon, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Miami, and South Florida. So South Florida has flipped that group of 5 position. The group of 5 always gets that last spot, and they have flipped that, right? Because we saw it was Memphis. Now it's South Florida that they're projected to be there. We have to see when projection comes up, the official projection comes out by the college football committee. But they got South Florida being right there. And now you see in Miami is back in that picture, right? Back in the playoff picture. You also got Georgia Tech. So you got 2 ACC teams in projected to be in the playoffs because obviously we saw Miami lost 2 games. Their last game they lost was to SMU, but they went out there yesterday and took care of business versus Syracuse. And with Virginia losing and their quarterback being hurt, I'm pretty sure this guy, the Sports Illustrator, is projecting this, but I'm pretty sure they're looking at it as like, okay, their quarterback is hurt. They lost to an unranked team. Miami took care of business. Miami has a very good body of work. Say what you want to say about Miami. Miami has a very good body of work. They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame is projected to be in make the college football playoffs. And so Miami has a very good body of work, and they just stumbled, along the way. And so now you see Georgia Tech and Miami versus projected to be in the playoffs. And so we have to see. But I also expect, who knows? I don't know what South Florida's cushion is in terms of who would be underneath behind them to make that playoff spot. But you also have to think about Oklahoma, right? They're still in it. Vanderbilt can still be in it, right? So this bracket can still get pretty. Now, again, this is the Sports Illustrators bracket, but the projections can still get pretty messy. Now, moving forward, the first round, if the season was to end today, the first round would be Notre Dame at number 8, Oregon. Georgia Tech would be Texas Tech. Miami would be at Mississippi, and South Florida would be at Georgia, because these teams would have to play first, and you would see teams like Ohio State having a bye, Texas A&M having a bye, so forth, because the top, the conference winners, they get a bye or whatever. And so yeah, this bracket is, it's still very much open, but it's just crazy that soon as they said, hey, this is the first projection, teams like BYU, Memphis, and Virginia go out there and piss down their leg. And as much I feel for the fans. I feel for their fans, man, because it's just a real shitty feeling to be like, okay, you know, you get excited. You don't want to get too excited, but you get excited because you're like, hey, man, they talking about us, Virginia, man. They talking about us, Virginia, possibly being this being our first time in the college football playoff since they went away from the BCS model and started the whole playoff model. This would have been Virginia's first time making it. And Memphis too. So and then they just wasn't able to take care of business. It's just college football is savage, right? And they like to say any given Saturday, and I like to think that not so much for Ohio State because they don't play anybody whatsoever, but that's what we got so far. That's what's projected so far. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all let me know if I forgot someone, maybe it's someone that y'all think is a sleeper to get in at that, maybe that number 12 or that number 11. That I would say that number 10 through 12 spot. Maybe there's a sleeper that I forgot about, or maybe I'm just overlooking. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. All right. Until next time, I'm out.